Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. My name's Josh Osborne, and I'm the product manager for the CI tools here at Central Innovation. And welcome to today's CI tools webinar. This is a webinar that we run every Thursday about the CI tools. Sometimes we look at new features in the tools. Sometimes we look at features that have been around for a while. Sometimes we go through tools from scratch to show you how they work and that sort of thing. And sometimes we go after, we look at questions that I've recently had come in about the tools so that I can document how they work. Today we're going to be looking at sorry, just checking my screen share is working okay. We're going to be looking at the Keynotes tool. Just a general overview of the Keynotes tool first, and then I'm going to look at two topics that we have had come in this week. The first one being attribute notes, which you may or may not know about. So we'll look at how and why you might want to use attribute notes. And then we'll also look at the workflow that you can use for linking notes rather than importing a note database as is sort of the standard way of doing it. We'll look at linking one instead, show you how to do that, why you might want to do it, and some things about maintaining that database if we have time as well. If you have any questions about anything that we're going to go over in the webinar today, please enter those in the chat panel. I will check in on those probably at the end and see if there's any questions I can answer while we're online. So enter those in the chat panel wherever you are, whether it's on YouTube or Vimeo, and I'll see what I can do there. But yeah, everything we're going to be looking at today is in ArchiCAD 28, but all of the stuff that it does in 28 is also available in 27 in previous versions as well. And also, before we get started, obviously the Keynotes elephant in the room to some extent is the fact that ArchiCAD has Keynotes built into it now as of ArchiCAD 28. Not really much else to say about that. It does work very similarly to how our tool does. So, of course, if you're using ArchiCAD 28, you're welcome to use the built-in Keynotes tool as well. We're going to be covering off the basic functionality of our Keynotes tool first. The CI tools Keynotes tool, which will look very familiar to you if you use the ArchiCAD ones. And then we're going to look at the attribute notes and linking notes, both of which are things that their built-in Keynotes tool can't do currently, at least. So if those two things interest you, you might be interested to try them out in our Keynotes. But it is what it is. It's a new function, and ArchiCAD is built in, so it has that going for it and that sort of thing. Aside from that, the way that it works is very similar, apart from these two specific things that we're going to look at. So yeah, it's entirely up to you whether you want to use the new Keynotes functionality or if you want to continue using ours. We don't have any plans to stop maintaining our tool at this stage or anything like that. So if you want to continue using it in ArchiCAD 28, it will still be there for you. We're still maintaining it, still releasing bug fixes and that sort of thing for it. So it's not going to suddenly stop working and leave you on the lurch or anything like that. All right, but with that out of the way, let me just quickly check. Just going to quickly check on the chat and see if anything has come up. I've had a little bit of trouble with the audio recently, so I just want to make sure that no one's telling me the audio isn't working. Nope, looks like we are okay. All right, so, oh, is that? Yes, that's working. Keynotes. So first of all, why might you want to use Keynotes? So the reason the Keynotes tool was developed in the first place was because we had a lot of customers who were annotating their drawings and were using things like big Word docs or spreadsheets or just text files or something like that, or finding various websites and just copying and pasting text into their projects and sticking them down in the places where they needed annotation. And aside from the fact that that's not a particularly efficient workflow, just in terms of finding the thing that you want and placing it where you want it to, and that sort of thing, it also brings in some problems where things like if you want to update the contents of a note, it makes it difficult to make sure that everywhere that you have that note placed is in sync with each other. You can't really do that with just plain text. And it also means that generating schedules of full note data is essentially something you have to do manually. So if you write a short note next to something and you want to expand that out into more detail on a layout sheet or something, you can't really do that. So that's what we made the Keynotes tool for, is to automate quite a lot of the parts of that workflow, and also just to build the list of notes directly into ArchiCAD, so that you don't have to go out to some other application or remember where some Word doc is or something, have a bunch of favorites in your browser or whatever to find all of your notes. You can just have them sitting right there inside your ArchiCAD project. So the main way that we interact with the Keynotes tool is via the Keynotes palette. So I'm just going to the CI Tools menu, Keynotes, and I'm going to click Keynotes palette, and that will bring up a floating palette for the Keynotes tool, which you can see here. Now, in my case, I've already populated some notes into here, which you can see here. And so the workflow for placing these notes is that we choose the note that we want. Let's say a 150mm PC panel, double click on the note. Oops, I've got something selected already. Double click on the note, and you will see that the label tool gets selected up here. So the label tool is currently selected and ready to place. And if I click to place that, it will place the note that I just double clicked, 30201 150mm PC panel. And so you can go throughout your project applying these, and the placed elements are just labels. So you can place these anywhere you can place a label in ArchiCAD, which is to say basically everywhere except in the 3D window. So you can place these in your floor plan view, obviously, like I just have. You can go through to your sections and elevations and place them there, put them in details if you like, anything like that. Place down those labels wherever you need to annotate your project. Once you've gone through and added all of the labels that you want into your project, so you can see with this one, I had this selected when I selected another note, and it automatically added that extra note to the label. If we deselect this one and choose another note, we can place that as well. So we've got 30302 there, and stair treads, and then let's go to a different category and place a couple of these as well. So now we have our let's say for the purposes of demonstration that we have annotated this view now and we're happy with how everything looks. What we want to do is we want to get the additional data. So you can see 30302 composite construction here. If I go to 30302, you can see we actually have a lot more detail available in this note, but it's not displaying in our project. So what we want to do is we want to create a schedule to show that additional detail. So we'll jump across to our layout sheet, and you'll see that our labels are now showing on the layout sheet as well. So once we issue these drawings, you'll be able to see that at this point, we want to specify that there's a composite construction here, and we want to now detail what that composite construction is. So again, we're going to go to the CI Tools menu and down to Keynotes, and we're going to choose to create a schedule. Now there's a bunch of options available with the schedule creation. So first of all, we're only going to place the schedule on the current layout. We don't want to put it on all layouts at this stage, although that is an option if you need to do that. And then we can choose which notes should be included in the schedule. So this is the really clever part, at least I think. So we can choose to include all keynotes. That will just dump the entire Keynote database into a single schedule. It will give us a very large schedule, but if you want to create, say, an index sheet of all your notes or something, you can use that option. Similar to the all option is the used in project option, which will place down every note that is used anywhere in this project. Similarly, again, to that one is visible in any layout, where again, it will place down all of the notes, but only the ones that are visible on any layout in this project. And then the fourth option down is the one that you will want to use most of the time, which is to place the keynotes which are visible in this schedule's layout. So in the layout sheet that we're placing this schedule on, those are the only notes we care about, which is what you're going to want most of the time. The last option is to have manually selected notes, which will allow us to grab a random selection of notes, not random, sorry, a selection of notes that you want to create a schedule based on. Um, the last option here is it's just an option that applies to any of the above, is to get the keynotes to only be scheduled if they show a key as well. So there's a good way if you have some notes that you want to annotate the project with, but the note itself already contains all the information in it and you don't want it to be included in the schedule, you can set those notes to not show a key, and then they won't be included in the schedule if we tick this box here. Then we've got some settings about how the schedule will actually look. We'll ignore that for now, and we'll just hit OK. And what it will do is it will look through all of the notes that are visible on this sheet, and it will create a schedule for us, which you can see up here. And if I zoom in here, you'll see all of those notes that I placed on the sheet, not on the sheet, on the view that's showing on this sheet. So now if we go back to the view and add a bunch more notes, so let's open up sites, place a few from there, open up general, place that one, and general notes as well. So we've got a whole bunch more of these. Go back to our layout and let that drawing update. So that's updated now. Now we just need to go to CI Tools, Keynotes again, and this time we're going to choose to update the schedule. We're just going to update the current sheet rather than the entire layout book. We'll hit OK, and it will bring through all of those additional notes that we've just added. So you can see it essentially automates that workflow of having to go through and make sure that you have included everything in your schedule of the things that you want to get that additional data for. So it makes that nice and quick and easy to do. Now, the second automation that is key to how the tool works is automation of the notes that are placed on your project staying in sync with the notes in our palette here. So what we're going to do in this case is we're going to go and find 30302 composite construction, and we're going to make some changes to this one. So we'll say something like that. So we've changed the title of this note here. Now, what you will notice is that in our tree here, you can see that the note has changed. These changes are made immediately as we type them. You don't have to save or anything like that. The database in this project is now up to date using this note. However, the labels are not. And the reason for this is simply because there are labels placed all throughout my project. And if it automatically updated every time we did change to the Keynote database, not only would it slow down your project because it would constantly be checking for updates, but it also would potentially result in chaos because you could be midway through running edits and suddenly it would plaster the edits all throughout your project, be particularly rough in teamwork. So we don't do that. Essentially, the idea here is that you go through and do edits to your notes, and then once you've made all of the edits that you want to, then we bring the model into sync with the database. And we do that using a tool called the Auditor. So in our Keynotes palette here, you can see that composite construction is still showing the old data here. What we're going to do is we're going to run the Auditor, which is this icon here. It's got sort of a representation of a label or a bunch of labels here, and it's got a green tick mark next to it. And if we click on that, it will open the Auditor palette here, which you can see. Now we've got a couple of options for what this displays. So at the moment we're showing all keynotes in the current drawing. And it's gone through and checked all of the keynotes. And you can see that throughout this list, it's listing the view and the note in all cases, and then it just doesn't say anything about them. It just says that they're there. That means if it's in black and it just mentions where the view is and what the note is, it means no change, everything's fine. It doesn't need updating or anything. So you can see that the only thing that we have that isn't like that is 30302 construction composition number 1, which is what we just renamed it to. And you can see that it is on floor plan and ground floor, and it's marked as changed. So what we can do is we can click on changed and hit zoom to, and that will bring us to the label so that we can easily see it and see why it might have changed if you want to inspect them and see if they definitely should be included in the change or not. And we have two options with what we want to do with this. We can repair it or we can replace it. If we choose the replace option, it will allow us to choose a different note to swap this one to. So we can say, actually, I don't want this to be updated. I want to switch it to something else. Or we can hit the repair button, in which case it will just bring it in sync. And now our audit labels dialog shows nothing that isn't black, meaning that everything is synchronized. So now we can go through and make a change to a different item. Let's go 30403. Stair treads. Okay, so we make that change there. With our auditor still open here, we just hit refresh. It will recheck everything and you'll see that we have a new change showing here. So if I select this one and zoom to it, you'll be able to see that one there. We can already see it anyway, but there it is there. And we can do a replace on this one so you can see how that works. We'll select replace. We'll go and choose, we'll say actually we don't want this one to come into sync. We actually want it to swap to something different. Let's change it to 30402. Hit OK, and it will just swap that node out for the one that we selected as well. So that's the other of the two options. So repair will bring it into sync and replace will switch it out for a different node. So you can see that using the auditor, you can easily go through and make sure that your whole project is in sync with everything else whenever you need it to. So this is part of the sort of 2 steps of automating the way the tool works. You run the audit to make sure that all of your placed labels match up with the notes that are in the database. And then you run the update on your schedules to make sure that your schedules are showing up-to-date information about your project. So you can see it's brought in that new title there, and it's brought in the swapped out label 30402 instead of 30403. So this is what you'll do every time you make changes to your databases. You'll run a full audit, you'll do a repair or replace, and then you'll update all of your schedules. So that's the basic functionality of the Keynotes tool. Attribute notes is where things get a bit more interesting. And that will let us assign keynotes to specific attributes in our project. So for instance, we have some walls here using Insta 90 on them. And what we're going to do is we are going to set up some attribute notes via the Keynotes Manager. So you'll see there's a second tab here called Attribute Notes. We're going to choose to use the building material attributes. And we're going to grab timber wall, which I believe is used in composite, and we're going to attach a note to it. So let's attach 30101 internal walls. So we attach that there, hit OK, and it looks like it's actually not included in that. Oops. Let's see what's in that first. Composites, Insta 90. Does contain timber. What have I done? Let me just double check what I did there. Attribute notes, building materials, tile wall. Oops, sorry. Timber wall. Let's add brickwork to this one instead. It doesn't make any sense, obviously, but we're just, for purposes of illustration, adding brickwork. And now you can see that when I select anything that contains that building material, in our labeled content section here, you can see that we have a sort of a representation of building material here. We can see that the building material is dictating um, a certain note. So what we can now do is we can select a couple of different elements. Let's go through and select those walls there. We can just go CI Tools, Keynotes, Label Attributes, and it will essentially automatically label our elements for us. So you can see it's attached 30203 brickwork to the 3 walls that I had selected. So this makes it essentially so that you can set up your project in advance to have all of the attributes know what notes should be associated with them, and then your annotation is essentially automatic from that point. You can just go through and select the elements that you want to have labels attached to them, run the command to show the labels, and it will go through and place those labels down without you having to do any additional work at all. You can still add in more labels to those as we go. So with this one selected, we can add 150 mil PC panel. So you see that there, but it doesn't have any icon on it. So it shows you that this was a note that was added by you manually rather than picked up from the building material. And this applies to any of the attribute types as well. So we can go back in and we can say, um, let's say composites. We had, what were we using? Instud 90, I think it was. Let's attach concrete topping to this one. And you'll see again, we get another sort of hidden note here saying, with an icon of a composite here, we can click on that and say we want to show this one as well, and that will add it to the label. And we could also say that we want to hide this one, and it will remove that part of the label as well. So you can, once you have labeled your attributes, you can choose to not display some of them as well, depending on what makes sense in the context. And now that there's a place, they'll behave like everything else, so they'll be included in our schedules and that sort of thing. So that is attribute notes. From the Keynotes Manager, go to attribute notes and then choose the type of attribute that you want to attach notes to, and then just go through and attach them to as many as you want. As I say, this is something that will take you a bit of time at the beginning of a project, but will pay off hugely later on, because it means that you are essentially setting yourself up with a bunch of work that you don't have to do later, because especially if it's in your template, because every project from then on that uses those attributes with the attribute notes attached to them, it's sort of doing the job automatically for you. And this will happen in any view as well. So we could go to a section view where the same thing is going on, and we can automatically label there as well. So we could select this wall here, which is using something with timber in it, and we can do the same thing. So we can go CI Tools, Keynotes, Label Attributes, and it will do the same job as well, because it just knows that that's what it should have associated with it. There was a different composite, so it's brought in the building material one, timber wall, but not the Instud 90 note that we attached, because this is not the same wall. So yeah, it makes it very powerful and easy to use. All right, it looks like I have run out of time, unfortunately, because I talked too much earlier. Let me just quickly check and see if we've got any questions. So if you have anything you wanted to ask, put that in there now, and I will have a look. All right, looks like we don't have any questions today, so that makes it nice and easy. Yeah, cool. So if you do think of any anything that you wanted to ask, whether it be about keynotes or about something else? Okay, what's the easiest way to keep my keynotes library up to date? Not 100% sure what you mean by that, but keeping it up, keeping the keynotes tool up to date, the best way to do that is just by running the CI tools installer and installing the latest version. If you're working in teamwork, you'll need to make sure that you upload the library to the BIM cloud server whenever you do install an update of keynotes. Um, so yeah, if that's what you mean, then just install the latest update and then open the BIM Cloud Library Manager in ArchiCAD and upload your library from there. Yeah, if it's something specific that you need to be able to do though, and that's not it though, just log a support ticket by emailing nz.support@centralinnovation.com, and we can help you with that. Maybe there's something specifically going wrong with your library or something, but we can help look into that. Yeah. Someone's saying it'd be good to be able to export and import the database from Excel. Yes, you can do that already. You can export to, sorry, not Excel specifically, but you can export to CSV, which will let you open it in Numbers or Excel or whatever. But it's spreadsheet format, so you can do the same thing in the. We go here in your Keynotes Manager. Just hit the export option here, and then when you are saving that, choose the .csv or TSV options, and that will let you export, and then you can open those in Excel, make changes if you want to, and then re-import them or import them into a different project or whatever you might want to do. All right. I think we'll leave it at that for now. Again, if you do have any further questions about that, maybe you're already doing the CSV export and it's not doing the thing that you want it to do or something like that, please just contact us, nz.support@centralinnovation.com, and I can help with that. Next week, we will look at a bit more to do with importing and exporting databases and linking them, because I wanted to cover linking and didn't get time. But yeah, also importing and exporting, there's a couple of things to know about when you're doing that. For instance, if you want to create new notes externally from ArchiCAD and you're using a CSV file, a couple of things that it's good to know how to do and that sort of thing. So we'll cover that at next week's session. But yeah, if you have any questions right now, send them through to nz.support and we'll help you out before then anyway. But yeah, that's it from me for today. Thanks for your time, everyone, and I'll catch you at the next one.